say how Rick's fabulous products are helping my body heal itself. So 44 years ago, I was 28. I'm double muscled. I was weighed 130 pounds. I had this guy bugging me in our town too. He came in the first gym in our town and he wanted me to represent his gym and lift weights. I never lifted weights in my life. And I was like, I was raising a 6-year-old child and I was too busy. I had a business and I had horses and I was busy. Our family had several businesses we all worked in. And I thought he was crazy. Back then, 40 years ago, I didn't know about weightlifting and all that. So anyway, I was in good shape. And it was June in 1982. A friend came over delivering a Tupperware order. So now you know how old I am. And she brought her 185-pound dog with her, and my daughter came home from playing next door, and I sent her into the kitchen, and the dog ran and grabbed her from behind, picked her up, shook her like she was a rag doll, threw her on the floor, and started eating her. And she's on the floor screaming, Mommy, 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 I'm dying. I'm dying. And I said, No, you're not. Hold still. You lay still and I'll get him off. So I jumped on top of him and I put my hands in his mouth. That's the only thing I could think of, and yanked. And then he was throwing us both around the floor. And when the bones in my hands started breaking, I cried out, Oh God, please make this dog stop. Because all I could think of was, man, if this is hurting me this bad, what's it doing to my child? And that dog's mouth opened and he slid 8 feet out the door over the door jamb onto the sidewalk. And I grabbed her and ran. And of course, on the way to the hospital, we get to the hospital and the doctors are like, What in the world? What in the world happened? How did you let this happen? And I'm like, I didn't let it happen. It was really amazing. So my daughter is fine. She's really scarred, but because of Rick's cell defender, her scars don't stick out that far off her back anymore. She has a hole in her back as big as my fist, and then she has a big scar about about that long across her back, and then another one up underneath her arm. And she looks like a lion attacked her, and she keloids, I keloid, and you could see no matter what she wore, you could see those scars through her clothes, and you can't anymore. It's amazing. So anyway, she was okay, physically pretty good. And me, not so good. I ripped inside around all of my organs. I have 35% blockage on my aorta artery from scar tissue. They thought I had a abdominal surgery. I'm scarred in there. They asked me, What in the world happened to you? I said, What kind of surgery do you have? And I said, I haven't had any surgeries. And they were going to cut my left hand off. I had a stroke of bad luck. I ruptured 7 discs in my neck and my back, and I was a mess. And I did not realize how badly injured I was until 2013. They never told me, which is a good thing, because I had one doctor though. He told me that he gave me a paper and said, "You need to go to the social service office and give them this and tell them that you're disabled forever." And I'm thinking, what? You're nuts. So anyway, the surgeon, night before surgery, told me I had the blood work of a 16-year-old male athlete. But when he got through with me the next day, I wouldn't have any health left. And I'm laying there, I'm 28. I was really strong. I could squeeze 100 pounds in each hand. And I worked along with my dad, my brother, my ex-husband, and so I was really fit. So I thought he was nuts, they're telling me this, and I'm like, what? So anyway, as time goes along, in order to save my hand, I had to agree to take the highest legal dosage of cortisone allowed for 28 straight days. And I have all 28 side effects. And I ended up, because of the mild stroke of bad luck I ended up with a pain syndrome that nothing in this world will touch. No drug in the world will touch it. And I do everything natural anyway. I don't like drugs. They did give me some drugs right after surgery, because he said that in 3 months he'd go in and cut my fingers off. Because I wouldn't be able to stand the pain to go through the therapy to keep them. Because so when I came out of surgery, I had hooks on my fingernails, and I was in a outrigger, and I had to every 5 minutes I had to change my fingers from being up to down every 5 minutes. Then it went to 10, then on and on. And I was in therapy for 2.5 years. I kept my fingers. He said I'd never be able to make a fist, but 2 summers ago, I made a fist. And I can still make a fist. And now it's getting to where it doesn't hurt when I do it. So that's amazing. And I it ruined my digestion. It ruined everything. It affects everything, all your organs. It affects your cortisone is bad. First, I told him I wasn't going to take it, and he said, "Well, then I'm going to cut your hand off." And I said, "No, I'll take it. I'll take it." So anyway, I've dealt with all of this, and I've done everything as naturally as as I could. And in 2005, I had called my sister and my mom and told them they needed to pray because the scar in my hand was sticking, like it was out that far in my hand, and it was drawing my fingers in. I couldn't straighten my fingers out. And I said, I don't want surgery. Surgery makes more scarring. And they just keep going in and doing scarring. And every time you do surgery, the incision gets bigger. So 2 days later, a friend called and said, called Robin and said, "You need to call Marcy Littlejohn. She has something that Glenna needs." Because he remembered how bad my hand was, and everything I suffered through. So Robin called Marcy, and she called me. And so of course I ordered everything. We only had Cell Defender, fiber, and Zimmunity. And so the day I got it, I got it in the mailbox. On the way out, I had to leave one ranch, go to another ranch, help a friend load some horses. Well, I didn't know I was going to load horses. I had to help her do something, she said. And so I took some drops on the way out to her ranch, and we were loading horses, and I got kicked by a colt, and it hit my arm, went up my side into my ear, my jaw, and I was black and blue from my elbow to my ear. And I just kept taking the drops all day long. So I thought, man, this has got to help. I was really in pain then. So 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up and I have a softball size lump in my right breast sticking out. And it felt like somebody had stuck a butcher knife in the side of me. And I'm like, man, what am I going to do? And I looked over and I had the Cell Defender laying by the bed. So I just took a big old swig, man. I just squirted it in there. And I was really tired. So I fell asleep. Next morning, I wake up, that lump was gone. The bed was wet. And I'm like, boy, this stuff works. So I'm like taking 10 drops, 10 times a day at least, or more. And when I got up in the middle of the night, I'd take some more. And so in 6 weeks, my hand was like this. All you can see is a crease. It's just a crease where the scarring was. And it has never grown at all. And I have kept the scar tissue from growing excessively inside me. Every time I would move to pick up a bale of hay or try to pick up a bale of hay, I used to drag them one-armed. Um, I'd rip inside. I'd have adhesions inside, and they'd rip, and that went on for years. Since I've had the Cell Defender, I haven't had any of that. And the Cell Defender and the Zimmunity actually, I feel, actually helped my discomfort level. I couldn't say pain then. So when when Rick started Avini, I was so excited because when he came out with Plus Relief, my whole life changed. I mean, literally changed. I'll get out of the shower and I take a spatula and I put gel on, and I put it up and down my spine. I put it all over my body like a body lotion before I get dressed. and I spray it all the time. I mean, and I don't have to have as much of it anymore. I can actually say that my pain is actually going away. And since he came out with the new Immunity, I've noticed another miracle in my life. I um the trauma of talking about the accident is gone. I can like see it, not be in it. And that is really amazing when you can get rid of trauma. And so when you get rid of trauma, when your trauma leaves, your pain leaves also because it's just a reminder. And even though, you have damage, but we're getting better I'm getting better every day. So I'm excited about that. And not only am I healing physically, my financial life, that is being healed also. Until Avini 3 years ago, for 10 years, for 10 years, I had to do garage sales to earn money. I took care of my parents till they passed away, and I was injured. Because on top of my injuries and helping them and lifting and all that, I was really in bad shape and I couldn't get a job. And so thankfully, I had a 40-foot moving van trailer full of our lives. It took me 8 years to empty it. And then people started bringing me stuff to sell. And then they'd call me and say, "Oh, so and so, our parents died. Can you come help us sell our stuff?" And so that's how I made a living. And let me tell you, when you have 7 ruptured discs in your back and you hurt everywhere, and I ripped across my ribs wouldn't stay in place for years. I went to the chiropractor on a daily basis for a long, long, long time because I couldn't breathe. And when you're in that shape and then you're lifting on top of it, takes you a while to recoup. So I'd have garage sales when I could, and then I'd have to rest, and then I'd garage sales. Now I have a Avini and I'm like literally supporting myself. And I actually just bought a truck. I mean, I am so thrilled and I am so honored that Rick trusts us. He entrusts his dream of helping mankind to us. We're his sales force. So I am thrilled about MJ's training. And everybody in Avini needs to take MJ's training because we all take on paradigm ideas that need to go away. We need to change a lot of paradigms in our lives, and just we gather stuff through our lives. And as you get older, you start thinking things about yourself that might not be true. And his training just frees you of all those things that people tell you you can't do that. Oh, you're single, you can't do that. You're too old, you can't do that. You're not a salesperson. And that is when I did, I've done his training a couple times, but when I saw his training, I'm like, I saw what it did for my girlfriend. And I'm like, because I'm a born salesperson, I don't have a problem. But I had just had other stuff, but she has just blossomed. So, everyone, if you haven't taken MJ's class at least once or twice, you need to take it again. And now that we have a year ago, I started calling our meetings gatherings because I don't like the word meeting, and I never have. And I am a party thrower. I'll throw a party any day, any excuse. And so I started calling them gatherings, and that changed the atmosphere. But now that we're calling them parties, and we've done three, and since we've done those three, we're easing our people into it. We're changing certain things. But we have had people sign up at every meeting for the last 3 weeks, and that's uncommon. And we're having people bring people, and that's uncommon. So it is exploding. So now we all have a job to do. We have to show Rick we can do this. We can take his company worldwide, that we are a sales force to reckon with. Thank you for listening and thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.